Good morning, everyone. Paul Ruppel here with Fox 29 News Now. Happy Friday. You've made it to the end of the week. I want to get you a quick look at your weather right now. You see the Benjamin Franklin Parkway here in Philadelphia. At the moment, it's 56 degrees here. The dew point is 48. Winds are calm. Not much air moving. But that could change over the weekend. We've got some tropical moisture bubbling up here, as you see on the shot from the Gulf of Mexico. That could bring us some rain this weekend. We'll be getting to that a little bit in the forecast later. In the meantime, let's take a live look where funeral services are getting underway for Congressman Elijah Cummings of Maryland. Yesterday, mourners filed past the casket of the late congressman. They paid their respects as Cummings lay in state at the National Statuary Hall in the United States Capitol. The longtime Maryland Democrat died last week at the age of 68. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle praised Cummings as a committed lawmaker who was respected and admired. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Representative John Lewis of Georgia were among the lawmakers who attended. Cummings' funeral is being held today in Baltimore, as you see here. Dignitaries in the audience, public officials, elected leaders, friends and family. You may have caught a shot there of President and Mrs. Clinton in the background. Let's listen in for a few moments here.
Looking better, I say that cautiously.
Wrong audio source here. We'll get you the sound here.
Amen. Elijah Cummings was a churchman, and he ordered as his opening hymn, "The church's one foundation is Jesus Christ our Lord." We sang to the glory of God this morning that opening hymn that meant so much to him. You may be seated.
Paul Ripple here with you again for Fox 29 News Now. You've been watching the opening moments of the funeral for Congressman Elijah Cummings of Maryland. I can tell you, you could see President Obama and Clinton in the front row, as well as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Democratic candidate and former Vice President Joe Biden. Presidents Clinton and Obama are expected to speak, as well as former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, House Speaker Pelosi, and the former president of the NAACP. I'm told I didn't see her necessarily, but it says here that in addition to Joe Biden, another Democratic candidate, Elizabeth Warren, will be there in the audience. Could be others as well. So keep an eye on this. If we see one of those speeches, we'll take you to it. This funeral taking place in Baltimore. Cummings was known as a fierce defender of his hometown, especially during its recent troubled times. And despite such divided times, Democrats stood side by side with Republicans who called him a friend. Cummings died last week at the age of 68, and Washington lost one of its most distinctive voices when he did. All right, let's get you that full look at weather. Here's a live look outside our studios right now at 4th and Market Streets. We'll take you back to the Parkway here. 56, dew point's 48. Winds are still currently calm. Getting a look at ultimate Doppler radar. All quiet this morning for the most part. You see a little bit of green up there in the upper left corner. Current temperatures, 50s for most of the area. 49 in Pottstown and Allentown, 48 in Reading, and Wildwood as high as 60. It's not too far off of where we were at this hour yesterday, as much as 5 degrees cooler in places like Millville and Atlantic City, but for the most part pretty close. Your northeast temperatures, 50s along the coast. Boston actually the warm spot at 61, 40s farther north and west. Across the U.S., we've got 80s still down in Florida, 86 in Miami, 82 in Tampa, 69 New Orleans, Houston just 54 degrees right now, 61 in San Francisco, 48 in Portland. Cool spot is Santa Fe at just 24 degrees right now. Wind speeds almost universally calm. Dover seeing 3 mile per hour sustained winds, so not much in the way of gusts, of course. A little disagreement on which way the calm wind is blowing. Your visibilities right now, a little bit limited in Lancaster, Reading, and Pottstown, but 10s, and Millville, 10s elsewhere. And your satellite shows you the cloud cover that is over us right now. As far as today's forecast, see we've got some high pressure still in charge, but you can see some rain passing to our north, and then that Gulf moisture starting to spread up into the interior mid-Atlantic, I guess you'd call that. Almost into the southeast. Taking a look at the longer range forecast. Here you go, Friday night. We've got rain off to the south and west. It's going to stay there for a bit Saturday, but then it's going to move in Saturday night, be with us Sunday morning, and it looks like we get a healthy dose of rain on Sunday through 10 p.m. Your 10-day forecast trend shows we're above normal right up until around Halloween, when we'll be dipping down into highs in the 50s to start the month of November, 54 and 53. So your forecast from the Fox 29 Weather Authority. Friday, increasing clouds, 68. Saturday, AM sun, PM showers, 65 for our Temple home game and light the night walk. Run for blue, which I believe will come right past our studios here on Sunday. On and off rain, unfortunately. 70 degrees for a high. Hopefully it's more off than on during the event. Just a 5 on our forecast by the numbers. Monday, mostly sunny, 68. Tuesday, we'll do it again almost. Sun and clouds, a little bit more clouds, 66. Shower chance on Wednesday, and a shower chance as well for Halloween when it's going to be 61, and then we'll be dipping into the 50s for highs after that. Remember, you can get your Fox 29 weather forecast anywhere on the go. Download our weather app in the Google Play and Apple iTunes stores. Get hourly forecasts as well as the 7-day, and you can get notifications for severe weather where based on the locations that you choose and set, all in the Fox 29 Weather Authority app. Oops, took you back to the Cummings funeral there. Let me get you a live shot of the Capitol here. A warning that this report will include discussion of Phillies division rivals, the Washington Nationals, and their play in the World Series. Chris Wallace joined us this morning to talk about the congressional inquiry that's been opened into the 2016 election, the origins of the Russiagate investigation, and other national matters, national and Washington Nationals matters. Here is that conversation with our Mike Jarek from Good Day Philadelphia this morning.
What a day today in Washington, D.C. Elijah Cummings will be laid to rest later today in D.C. Chris Wallace, you certainly got to know him over the years. What are your thoughts?
Well, he was a great moral force in this town. You don't say that much about politicians. He was obviously a very effective politician, but he was also a moral force. Obviously, the president didn't like him very much, although he's been very respectful since his passing. But he didn't just represent Baltimore. One of the members of Congress said he embodied Baltimore, and he used to go back to Baltimore every night from Washington, you know, to live in his district when that Freddie Gray, the police, the young black man in the community was died from being bounced around in the back of a police vehicle, and they had the riots in Baltimore. Elijah Cummings went out in the streets and really tried to help calm them down, and I think did a pretty good job. So it's a major loss in Congress. You know, there are an awful lot of people that are just politicians. He was more than that, and he will be missed. And I will also say that in a town which is so polarized, he actually got along with a number of Republicans, and they are mourning his loss as well today.
Okay, interesting guest. Eric Swalwell will be on your show on Sunday, one of the Democrats leading the charge for the impeachment of our president.
Yeah, he is a member of the House Intelligence Committee. He's been in a lot of those briefings, along with the Republicans. We'll ask him where things stand. We'll ask him when, because the key here, they're getting all this information, but if they're going to make a case to try to sway the public, they got to do it in public and, you know, have public hearings. And that's the big question. When do they stop these private hearings and depositions and start holding public hearings? We'll ask them about that. There's also talk now that they feel they've got such a strong case they don't even need to call the whistleblower. I can promise you Republicans are going to scream about that. We also think we're going to have a top White House official to talk about impeachment and now the new criminal investigation into the Trump-Russia collusion investigation. And maybe, just maybe, if everything goes right,
here it comes,
we will have a World Series trophy here because we might be the world champion Nationals by Sunday. I know you guys don't really know how that feels.
Well, it has been 11 years. You're right. Now, have you ever won a World Series with the Nationals or the Expos or whoever they are?
Well, no, it's the Nationals. I think we should not denigrate them. I mean, they are in the World Series. The Phillies are not. But yes, well, the Nationals haven't, but the Washington Senators did. I think, it was back in the 1920s. You were a kid then.
Yeah, I remember. I was actually a ball boy for the Senators back then. All right.
But
well,
congratulations on Joe Girardi. That's a pretty exciting thing.
That's a good get. We should
that's
have
a good get, as we say in TV.
This is a sore subject because of Bryce Harper. We won't get into that. Chris,
who?
Good luck.
Who? Bryce who?
We got to go. Oh, jeez.
See ya. Well, look, you got the Eagles, we got the Redskins, so let me have something that I can brag about.
Great game last night, 1-7. Way to beat those Dolphins.
No, it wasn't. It was the Vikings. But let me say this. We're going to have a very good draft choice this next year.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe number one. Chris, we'll see you Sunday.
A little politics, a little sports, a little mix of everything there in that hit. Thank you to Chris Wallace for joining us. The president's been active on Twitter, as he often is this morning. Let's take a look at some of his posts here. He was talking a bit about Tim Ryan, who dropped out of the Democratic presidential primary. Double checking myself. Yes, a congressman from Ohio who has left the presidential race. Had 2 tweets about that. I believe the bottom of this one's getting cut off. If you don't know what you're doing, he wasn't effective for USA workers, just talk. And then the president began speaking about the situation in Syria. He said Turkey fully understands not to fire on the Kurds as they leave what will be known as the safe zone for other fairly nearby areas. I don't have to repeat that large-scale sanctions will be imposed for violations. Going well, ISIS secured by Kurds with Turkey ready as backup. This was a 3-parter, actually. USA has gained trillions of dollars in wealth since November 2016. All others way down. Our power is economic before having to use our newly rebuilt military, a much better alternative. Oil is secured. Our soldiers have left and are leaving Syria for other places. Then coming home. We were supposed to be there for 30 days. That was 10 years ago. When these pundit fools who have called the Middle East wrong for 20 years ask what we are getting out of the deal, I simply say the oil, and we are bringing our soldiers back home. ISIS secured. So the president covering a couple different topics there in that post. All right, let's get you to some local news here. We've got 3 top stories from this morning for you. The first is going to be a story about a series of burglaries in the 14th District. Our Sabina Kuriakos was out on this story and has details for you in this report.
Put his hands on her. I can't imagine as an adult being physically grabbed and somebody trying to force me into a car. This girl was 12 years old and she reacted so well. She fought back in the heat of the moment. She was able to get away just for a second, and that's when she took her opportunity.
Let me interrupt. Actually, I had the story wrong here. This is about an attempted abduction. And let me give you the information on that. This is a 12-year-old girl who told police someone tried to abduct her while she was walking home from school in Newport. Police say it happened Thursday around 4 o'clock in the area of Augustine and Christian Streets. That's where She says a man grabbed her, but she was able to break free. She says he was driving a light-colored van. This is in Newcastle County, Delaware. And now you have the proper context for Sabina's
Put
report.
his hands on her. I can't imagine as an adult being physically grabbed and somebody trying to force me into a car. This girl was 12 years old and she reacted so well. She fought back in the heat of the moment. She was able to get away just for a second, and that's when she took her opportunity and ran. She went and got her mom, and they called police together. So in this neighborhood, I can tell you right now, there is nobody walking to and from school. Parents are telling us that they are driving their kids after getting the message late last night from the school district that that little girl walking home from Ritchie Elementary School says that she was approached by a man, a stranger, tried to put her into a light-colored work van. Again, she got away, and after parents got that message, many of them waited till this morning to talk to their kids about stranger danger. Some of them say they're going to have that talk this afternoon, and people in the area, not just parents but neighbors, they are on high alert.
Makes me very angry. Makes me think if I was there that I would have intervened or done something.
That's terrifying. Yeah. And our son, you know, I wouldn't say gullible, but, you know, he's nice. He's a nice kid, and so I am nervous for him.
I think that children should be taught how to protect themselves, how to get away from somebody.
We talked about it last night a little bit, but then we got more details after he'd gone to sleep, so we will certainly be talking about it tonight.
A lot of parents certainly will be. Remember, this guy is still out there, short braids, a dark-colored shirt, and a light-colored van. The 12-year-old girl, she is safe. Back to you.
Thank you to Sabina for that report. Update on some stories that have been very prevalent the last couple days. Authorities are crediting the community in the arrest of two men connected to the deadly shooting of 2-year-old Nicolette Rivera, who you see here. Now both police and neighbors say coming forward with information must continue. Little Nicolette Rivera was gunned down on Sunday at her home on the 3300 block of North Water Street in Kensington. Police say the shooting was the result of a drug dispute involving her father. They say tips from the community helped lead to the arrest of 30-year-old Freddie Perez and the alleged gunman, 25-year-old Tavon Thomas. Neighbors say for the longest time, people have been too afraid to come forward to help police.
That rule needs to go away. If you snitch, something's gonna happen to you. They need to start opening up their mouths. We need to get our neighborhood back.
Neighbors say they hope this incident creates change and more people will be willing to step forward in the future. The suspect has also been taken into custody for the shooting of an 11-month-old baby boy in Hunting Park. And this was our top story yesterday that Jeff Cole was reporting. More trouble for Philadelphia Police Department. Chief Inspector Carl Holmes is accused of sexually assaulting 3 female officers from 2004 to 2007 while on duty. The 54-year-old faced a judge by video link from police headquarters yesterday while his boss, Acting Police Commissioner Christine Coulter, answered questions about his alleged offenses.
Well, anybody that wears this uniform, we expect them to be professional. It's sickening to think that the things that are alleged, at least charge-wise, to happen have happened.
The charges were recommended by an investigating grand jury that wrote, Holmes presented himself to the women as a mentor, but instead came on to them, kissed them, and fondled them. He's now suspended with the intent to fire.
Result of a citizen call, encountered the male, saw he was.
All right, let's take you live to the funeral services again for Congressman Elijah Cummings. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has been speaking for a few minutes. Let's listen in to the words she's delivering there at the funeral service.
Recognized that it wasn't really about politics for our Elijah. He led from his soul. He often said that our children are a message to a future we will never see. I saw that firsthand when I attended an event for the Elijah Cummings youth program in Israel. A leadership program for young people in his district. And Elijah didn't just put his name on the program and then forget about it. He interviewed every applicant. He was personally invested in their success. He wanted all of us to see our young people as he memorably asked us to do when he gave the eulogy at the funeral for Freddie Gray. Did you see him? By the time these young people came back from Israel to Baltimore, they had celebrated Shabbat, studied Hebrew, hiked up Masada. They had seen and been seen and made lifelong friends, all because Elijah Cummings knew from his own experiences that it's one thing to learn abstractly about the world, but another to experience it with people different from yourself, learning from each other, lifting each other up. You know, Elijah often said his philosophy was simple. Do something. Go out and do something. No matter how daunting a problem seems, no matter how helpless you feel, surely there is something you can do. I think that remains his challenge to each of us. As he said, even if it seems small, there's usually something you can do if you are looking for it. You can defend the truth. You can defend democracy. You can lift up others. And toward the end of his life, he said, I am begging the American people to pay attention to what is going on. Because if you want to have a democracy intact for your children and your children's children and generations yet unborn, we have got to guard this moment. This is our watch. Our Elijah knew, because he was a man of faith and a man of the church, that life was fleeting and precious. And that's why he worked so hard to make every moment of his life count. When we're dancing with the angels, the question will be asked, he said, in 2019, what did we do to make sure we kept our democracy intact? I will end with the paraphrase of a poem that Elijah recited in his very first speech in the Congress. He said that he told himself this poem as many as 20 times a day. I only have a minute, 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, I did not choose it, but I know that I must use it. Give account if I abuse it, suffer if I lose it. Only a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. Thank you, Elijah Cummings, for your work, your service, and the lessons you leave us. God bless you.
Good morning, Baltimore. Thank you, Bishop Thomas, for bringing us under this beautiful auspices to pay tribute to our darling, precious Elijah. Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President. Madam Secretary, Archbishop Lori, Bishop, members of the clergy, distinguished guests who are all here for our darling Elijah. As Speaker of the House, I have the sad honor and personal privilege to bring the condolences of the entire Congress of the United States to Maya, the Cummings family, the people, the constituents of Elijah's district, people of Baltimore, to our entire country. I say that with great authority because yesterday, my friends and those of you who loved Elijah, yesterday, Maya gave us the privilege of having a celebration of Elijah's life in the capital of the United States. The first African-American lawmaker ever to serve in repose, lie in repose in the capital of the United States. It was so beautiful. And as has been referenced, Elijah brought people together in life of different parties and in his death of different parties. And that's why I'm so pleased that yesterday's service was very bipartisan. In fact, it took bipartisan agreement for Elijah to lie in repose on the same catapult that Abraham Lincoln lay in repose in the Capitol. And so today we have a very strong bipartisan of Elijah's colleagues from the House of Representatives, led by our chair of the Black Caucus, Karen Bass, our leader, Steny Hoyer, John Lewis, Marcia, who got the nod, and I'm happy to get it as well, and so many of our members of the House in a bipartisan fashion. Please rise to be recognized. And their families and their staff, Elijah's staff. John Lewis, where are you, John Lewis? And we had a strong representation from the United States Senate in a bipartisan way yesterday. Today also led by Ben Cardin and Chris Van Hollen, bringing so many senators here today. Bishop Thomas, how brilliant was it of Elijah's parents to name him Elijah? As the secretary said, the Lord, the God is my Lord. And as we know from the Old Testament, there is a tradition to leave a seat at the table for Elijah who might show up. But our Elijah always made a seat at the table for others. He made a seat at the table for children who needed an education, for even new members of Congress so that he could mentor them, for all who wanted to be part of the American dream. Elijah himself personally lived the American dream, and he wanted everyone else to have that opportunity, hence many seats at the table. How fortunate for our country that his parents also taught him to live up to his name. How blessed are we all to know him and to benefit from his friendship and his leadership. Elijah was a proud man, proud of his heritage, proud of Baltimore, and proud of America. He always appealed to our better angels and to the promise of America, calling us to live up to our principles and for a higher purpose. As he said, and this is so, all the words that we will use that are the best words are words that Elijah used. when we were not meeting the needs of children in our country, he said, "We are better than this." He held himself to a high standard, and that is why I've called him the North Star of Congress, our guiding light. Thank you, Maya, for giving me this opportunity to speak at the Baltimore celebration as well as yesterday of Elijah's life. Previously, I've seen some of you over time speaking as Speaker of the House before at St. James Episcopal Church to speak at the funeral service for Congressman Parren Mitchell, a sad and proud day for the Baltimore community and our country that day. Paying tribute to Parren was both an official and a personal honor. My D'Alessandro family and the Mitchell family had been friends for generations. Now it is my great honor and personal sadness to join you at the New Psalmist Baptist Church, Elijah's Church, to celebrate Elijah's life. As I said, yesterday members of Congress said goodbye to Elijah. Maya gave us the honor again of holding that official service in the statuary hall of the House. At that time, I said this was appropriate because Elijah was master of the House. Master of the House. In his chairmanship of the Committee on Oversight and Reform, he lived up to his responsibilities to hold the federal government accountable to the laws of the land. One word I would use to describe Elijah over and over again is the word future. He was there to make the future for our children, whom he called, as has been said, our living messengers to a future we will never see. But he wanted for those children to have a future worthy of their aspirations, and he wanted them to have a future built on our values, continue to be built on our values. And as a master of the House, he was also the mentor of the House. Does anybody in here be mentored by Elijah Cummings? I think so. It was no surprise that when we had this election and we won the Congress that Elijah said, "Send me as many freshmen as you can because I want to help them be oriented to reach their fullest potential in the House of Representatives." So wonderful that he did that. And all members, whether new or not, benefited from the generosity of his spirit, sometimes the candor of how we do our work. Whether we asked or not, the candor was there. And again, it was an honor to share, again, some of these thoughts about our dear Elijah. Elijah loved Baltimore and his district. He was my Baltimore brother in Congress. We had our chats about Baltimore all the time. He loved and respected his constituents. By example, he gave people hope. By his courage, he fought for what is right. By his brilliance, knowledge, and legal prowess, he made a difference in so many ways, fighting for gun violence prevention, expanding opportunity for everyone, recognizing, now this was most recent, recognizing the cost of prescription drugs hurt the health and economic well-being of America's working families. He was willing to reach across the aisle, even across the Capitol, even down Pennsylvania Avenue. So it should be a source of pride to all of us who loved Elijah that the committee chairman immediately named H.R. 3, the Lower Drug Cost Act, now the Elijah E. Cummings Lower Cost Drug Act. Our Baltimore connection gave me special entree into the thinking, Elijah's thinking, which helped me as speaker. Our love of the Orioles and the Ravens made it fun. Thank you, Baltimore, for your contribution to the greatness of the United States of America. When I spoke on Wednesday at my brother Tommy D'Alessandro's service, I acknowledged that we would be honoring Elijah today. We lost two great leaders in 1 week, we did in Baltimore. One of the things that Elijah, my brother Tommy, and I, being from Baltimore, and I representing San Francisco, had in common was the pride we took in Baltimore, our Baltimore. Another thing Tommy, Elijah, and I had, and I, in representing San Francisco, had in common that our hearts are full of love for America. I used to tell them in San Francisco, for us, love means letting other versions exist. And that's exactly what Elijah did. Respecting the views of others, reaching across the aisle, building community and consensus. Thank you, Maya. Thank you to the children and to your entire family for sharing Elijah with us and for loving him so much. You were the source of his strength and inspiration. I hope it is a comfort to you that so many people mourn your sad loss and are praying for you at this sad time. As we always pray for God to bless America, let us acknowledge that God truly blessed America with the life and legacy of Elijah E. Cummings, mentor, master of the house, North Star, Mr. Chairman, Master of the House, may he rest in peace, Elijah Cummings. Thank you all so much.
You've been watching the funeral services for Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings. Let's get you another look at your weather here. As Tropical Depression 17 has formed in the Gulf of Mexico. We're now expecting rain this weekend across much of the mid-Atlantic. Some areas could see as much as 2 inches of rain. National Weather Service says fall colors remain, but are now past peak along the West Branch Delaware River up in New York State. But the water vapor coming off the Gulf of Mexico, as you see here in this loop from our weather team, shows some of that moisture that's headed our way. Some areas could see 2 inches of rain in the mid-Atlantic. Right now it's still quite nice outside. 56 in Philly. Dew point is 48. Winds calm. Oops. And there you have your current temperatures, 50s and 60s across the area. Boston up to 63 now, 61 in Baltimore. Visibility is improving in some of those areas that we're having less visibility. But the cloud cover remains and will continue to build. Here again is a look at what is headed our way. See, it's to our south and west. It moves into the area Saturday. Could be after dinner hour, actually. Have some rain Sunday night, and then Sunday we really get some heavy rain there. You saw some yellow moving across eastern Pennsylvania and northern New Jersey, maybe even some down as far south as southern Delaware and South Jersey. Here is your 7-day forecast from the Fox 29 Weather Authority. 68 today. In the words of our Sue Serio, Cloudy and dry, even with the clouds on the increase during the day. We expect to be back in the upper 60s for our high temperature today. Enjoy. Sue tweeted that earlier. Then we get to AM sun but PM showers tomorrow for the Temple Owls home game and the Light the Night Walk, benefiting the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Run for Blue is Sunday. Here we'll come past our studios in Old City. On and off rain, 70 for a high. Just a 5 on our forecast by the numbers. Then we get to Monday, mostly sunny, 68. Some clouds move in Tuesday, 66. Shower chance Wednesday, and a lingering shower chance on Thursday for Halloween. Let's get you a quick look around the region. We'll show you our Fox 29 Weather Authority cameras, Weathermetrics cameras here. All right, that's going to do it for us today on Fox 29 News Now. We're with you weekdays after Good Day Philadelphia and the after show. Thank you for joining us. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.